Messmer here at Technical Taekwondo. Today's video I want to talk about the science of kicking. We're going to start by breaking down the basic turning kick and all of the elements that go into it. Primarily what we're going to be talking about is the 6 components of a kick, or the 6 parts of a kick, break them down individually, as also I'm going to be adding and talking about the 6 elements in the theory of power as we go through this. So the 6 parts of a kick, any kick that you're throwing has all these parts to it, doesn't matter. Number 1 is I transfer my weight onto the lead leg. So my fighting stance is 50-50. I transfer 51% onto my front leg. So it's a very small weight transfer. This weight transfer lines up the bones. So my foot, my knee, my hip, my shoulder are now all in a straight line. Now I can slam this knee up, which is the 3rd part of a kick. This is where most people start their kicks. The way we break it down, that's the 3rd part of the kick. So I transfer the weight, get those bones to line up, drive that knee up, extend, exhale, and then number 6 would be the rechamber. So we're going to break those all down and go into a little bit more detail on those. My heels are off the mat in my fighting stance. My knees are slightly bent. I'm in a position of balance. Weight is 50-50. I can move very quickly from this position. Whatever it is that I need to do, I can move quickly. I never want to be caught on my heels or flat-footed. I want to always stay very, very light and on the balls of my feet. With my weight 50-50, very neutral. I can kick from this position, but I'm trying to achieve maximum power. I need to get all of the elements into play. So for maximum power, I want to have my bones completely lined up. It doesn't take that much time or effort. I do it on every kick. Transferring the weight, it's just that little shift, barely even visible. Now my toes, my knee, my hip, and my shoulders, again, are all in a straight line. Spine is straight. Now I can drive that knee up. Once I establish that forward momentum, now we can start talking about some of the elements in the theory of power. Number 1 is mass. How much of your mass are you putting into the technique? If I have a jab versus a cross, the jab doesn't hit as strong because I don't have as much mass behind it. For the cross, I'm committing more to it. I have more of my body turned into it. The same kind of rule applies. What's your applied mass? How much of your mass are you committing to the technique? Once your bones are aligned, now I can drive that knee up. I should slam it up. What I'm trying to do is touch my knee to my chest. I'm using the bigger quadricep muscles to drive this up. And every kick that I throw, I want it to basically look like a front kick. And then I dump the hip over at the end. But on this chambered motion, I'm using the quadricep muscles to accelerate my kick. So now we have mass and acceleration, acceleration being the 2nd part. You can hit with constant speed or you can hit with acceleration. When you learn how to hit with acceleration, you're going to more than double your power. One of the things that beginners do is they accelerate and then they hit at a constant speed. Where advanced ranks, they start off a little bit slower and then speed up on the end. If you're really good, I have a video on this on broken timing, but I can start my kick and then accelerate it. That hits with true acceleration, which automatically hits with more power. But 2, the broken rhythm of that makes it really hard to predict and time or block or even move out of the way. So that's an added benefit of that. And training in the martial arts requires good balance. You're always in a position where you need to recover quickly and get balance so that you can move. If I throw a kick and I land off balance, I have to regain my balance before I can move out of the way. So if I'm off balance at any point in time, not only am I losing power, but I'm also going to be vulnerable for a counterattack or possibly just completely miss because I was off balance and overextended myself. Balance is a huge point of maintaining and keeping power, because anytime you overextend yourself, you're losing power because you're no longer in alignment. So equilibrium has more to do with alignment than anything else. So when you're throwing those kicks, you transfer the weight and you're aligned, you're hips are over your foot, your shoulders are over your hips. If you're over here, now you're starting to lose balance. It's even difficult for me just to stand here with that alignment out of whack. That third part of a kick, that chambered action, is probably the most complex because there's so much going on. When you're throwing these kicks, your muscles have to be activated in a precise sequence if you want to achieve maximum power. But by driving your knee up past the point that you're planning on kicking, so if I'm planning on doing a belt level kick, but I drive that knee all the way up, I release earlier. My intention is to come all the way up. So I'm still lifting that knee, I'm just extending and releasing that kick earlier. So the dynamic chambering action uses primarily your quadricep and your gluteus muscles to achieve that action. As your knee is driven upwards, the heel of the base foot lifts, which allows you to pivot. This engages your hip flexor muscles as you roll that hip over to the optimum angle of 90 degrees. This pivoting action creates additional rotational force. In addition, on impact, you drop the heel, which adds a little bit more gravitational force as well. As your quadricep and hip flexor muscles are driving the chamber upwards and forwards, your abs and obliques are also pulling and twisting you into the motion. Combine this with your arms that counterbalance and also increase the rotational force. Your abdominal muscles provide the strength to roll over your hips and pull the knee into the target. Now that the knee is chambered, the next part of the kick is the extension. I'm using the quadricep muscles to pull that leg in. Right at the end of the kick, I'm tensing my ankle and calf muscles. As I exhale, tightening all those muscles up, because on impact, I want to have every muscle tense for that brief point of impact. A tense muscle will transfer energy more than a relaxed muscle will. If I want to maximize power, I'm going to dump that hip over and come in at a 90-degree angle. If I'm coming upwards at a 45, it might be a little bit quicker, but it's not going to hit with the same impact. When I'm hitting up at an angle this way, part of my power is going to glance off. It's not going to vector in at a 90 like I want to if I want to bury it. Anything less than a 90-degree angle is just less efficient and less powerful. Cutting up versus dumping that hip over and cutting over. As part of striking, concentration is one of the elements in the theory of power. Concentration is not the same thing as focus. If I focus on a specific target, yes, that is needed. In fact, I want to focus on hitting vital spots. That's not what we're talking about when you're talking about concentration when it's talking about power. Concentration is a combination of bringing everything that you have and striking a very small point. Is a combination of focus and physical coordination. The act of driving forward, pushing off that floor with the ankle and the heel, driving and accelerating through the motion, using all your hip muscles, your leg muscles coordinated together to strike at a single moment in time. When I do my turning kick, think about how much square footage is on the top of your foot. If I change that hit with the ball of the foot and I train and develop that, I'm effectively concentrating that strike and making it 3 times more powerful by doing nothing but changing how I strike. That's that focused strike coming through versus coming in with the top of the foot. So if I have a nice kick and I aim for the surface, I'm not hitting the target. I'm touching the surface. I want to penetrate 3 to 4 inches inside of the target. I'm aiming for the center. But I want to come across and aim and penetrate through the target. And that's going to give me a lot greater power, more impact. Exhaling on impact is the 4th part of a kick. As we went through those earlier, you're transferring the weight, you got the knee lift, you're coming through right before impact, in, exhaling on impact. The reason you exhale on impact is you want to tense your muscles. That gives my muscles a rigidity that transfers maximum energy into the target. My rigid muscles won't absorb any of that energy back. It'll go straight into the target. Before and after the kick, though, you want to remain relaxed. The last one is probably the most misunderstood or the least talked about. It's the rechamber. A lot of people are just looking at the rechamber as a way to bring their foot back for balance. The purpose of a correct rechamber is to add power. The rechamber is executed as fast as the kick itself. This is done by using your ankle and calf muscles to push off the target, followed by your quadricep muscles pulling your foot back to you. A sharp recoil means less energy that you absorb from that initial impact, and when this forceful action is done correctly, it creates a shock wave of energy that follows the initial impact. This shock wave of energy hits with a sharper, measurable increase in power. So when you're kicking and you're adding that recoil hits with a second shock wave of energy. So this shock wave of energy hits with a noticeable, measurable increase in power. So driving off that rechamber, that shock wave of energy that you create is known as reaction force. If you fail to recoil quickly, so if I come and I bounce off slow, my foot or my hand is absorbing some of that energy and it's not creating that shock wave. But if I bounce off and I push off, that recoil hits with a sharper second impact. The wave of energy travels through the target on that initial impact. Part of it bounces back. If your foot is gone, it bounces off and comes back in. That's the wave energy that travels through the target. But that only happens if you have a sharp recoil. That has the added benefit of making it so that I am back and ready to fire another shot in a balanced position and all that. So it is this scientific study that helps us achieve maximum power when we are striking, whether that's kicking or punching. It doesn't matter. You still apply those same elements when you are trying to achieve maximum power. So those are the 6 elements in the theory of power. You need all 6 to have true power. If you're missing one, try to have power if you have acceleration but no mass. That doesn't even make any sense. Having mass and acceleration without breath control, without concentration, and without balance, that doesn't make any sense either. I hope this helped you guys. Until next time, God bless and keep on kicking.